right there.
Nathan, in these playoffs, both at home and then yesterday here in New York, how's the atmosphere and the environment compared to what you expect coming in? Like, what's it like to feel that?
We thought Toronto was a little bit louder, but New York, they when they started scoring some runs, it started to get a little bit louder. Regardless, it's amazing to play under all this noise, and it's fun.
Batting near Vladdy in the lineup, like we see what Vladdy does every day, but as a teammate, as a guy who has a pretty good view of what he's been doing lately, what impresses you most about him as a baseball player?
He clears his mind just from how he kind of ended the season into then going into playoffs. It's just he's turned it around. He's the leader right now.
About 7 rows back on your right, Shy.
Hey, Nate. Along those lines, just watching Vladdy and Judge, two dominant hitters in sports, sort of just counter-punching and counter-punching there.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what's it like watching that play out over the course of the series?
I mean, it's two of the best going head-to-head. Obviously, I'm taking Vladdy. I'm taking Vladdy today, and it's just been fun to watch.
And when you're in one of these postseason series, similar, I guess, to the regular season, but maybe a bit more intense because you're probably seeing different usages. When you're seeing relievers multiple times in close proximity, how does that extra information, how do you use that extra information? How does that impact your at-bats over the course of a series?
I mean, we see the shapes of their pitches. We get to see them over and over again, but regardless, we have the video, whether we've faced them once, twice, 3 times. So it's on us to do the homework.
And right behind Shy, Hazel.
Nathan, you've been very candid about when you were batting leadoff, you weren't all that comfortable. What's it like to have Springer in front of you and then Vladdy behind you, and how much do you have to be aware of the type of at-bat you're taking knowing that Vladdy's behind you?
Yeah, it's being sandwiched between those two, just kind of a dream come true. But as for like the other day when I hit the 2-run double, it was just either strike out or do not ground into double play. It's pretty much the way Vladdy's going right now. It's I need to get him into the box.
In speaking with Davis, he said playing left field or in the outfield at Yankee Stadium, there's a lot of words and things said to some of the outfielders. He tries to have fun with it. What is your experience with Yankee fans playing in the outfield?
I mean, pretty much the same. I start by turning my Instagram to private. That way I don't give them any more ammo. But I mean, I try and give them some baseballs, try and have some fun with them. When they're this loud and rowdy, it's kind of hard to single out the voices, which is kind of nice. But when they're not as loud, those voices tend to get in your ear a little bit.
5th row on your right, Nathan. Buck.
Nathan, after 10 years in the minor leagues, and I'm sure you've thought about this kind of experience, how does reality compare to what you thought it might be playing in your first postseason?
I mean, it's everything that I've seen on TV. Just growing up, watching these games, watching the playoffs, the World Series, it's everything I thought it would be.
You've had so much success this year, but you've had success everywhere you've played. Have you done anything differently this year than what you've done for the majority of your career in the minors?
Not a whole lot. It's just a matter of kind of given the opportunity and running with it. I don't want to go back.
Far back on your left, Nathan. Caleb.
Nathan, was there a moment or a swing or a play where you knew not only am I a big leaguer, but I'm an everyday big leaguer?
Oh, man. I don't even know. There's plenty. Trying to think to the beginning of the season, and any swing that helps the team. I guess every RBI, every sack bunt, drag bunt, squeeze, hit and run, kind of they all just blend together.
Other questions for Nathan? All right, Nathan, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Good luck tonight. Giancarlo Stanton of the Yankees will be in about 20 minutes. Hey. All right. Who has the first question? We'll start with Brendan on your right.
Giancarlo, in an interview with MLB Network,
It's against the wall.
I am on your
over
right-hand
here,
side.
Yes.
With MLB Network, you talked about how you approach big moments. You take smaller moments and try to bring them all to one moment. Just how did you learn how to do that, and when did it start to click to you that you felt comfortable in these clutch type situations, in these big moments?
I had to experience a few, fail in a few, and just continue to evolve and learn, try to peel back everything, why did I do this? Why didn't this one work out, that one work out? What was the thought process? What was the preparation? And just try to find the best formula, and that always evolves. That's always going to evolve, and just what I try to do.
And alternately, what do you think has made this team so good in elimination situations this year with you guys' backs against the wall, like again tonight?
Just knowing who we are, trusting who we are, and I guess we don't mind the hard way sometimes. It's not ideal, but just being calm, being comfortable, and playing our game, just not trying to do too much, and
Go to the second row on your far right, Meredith.
Hey, Giancarlo, how different, if at all, is the preparation when you know you're going to see a lot of guys tonight on the other side?
You go over similar things, just talk about who's facing before, what we have on past at-bats, anything that stands out from the left and right side. We've had a few good looks at them this series and obviously during the year, so you take all those and come up with the best plan.
Just going back to last night for a minute, just how would you describe Aaron Judge's night as a whole and what he means to this team? It seems like as he goes, this team often goes.
Yeah, it's incredible. Exactly what we needed. The reason I'm here right now, the reason why we have another game tonight. He stepped up when we needed him most, and he'll be right there again today.
Stay in the same row with John on the aisle.
Sticking with Aaron for a second, I mean, you've been around for a lot of his big moments. You've heard the stadium in a lot of those moments. How would you compare it to the sound in the stadium and also just the vibe in the dugout when that happened last night?
That was a cool one because no one really knew. You knew it was far enough to go out, but you didn't know if it was gonna wrap the pole or not. So that's always a cool moment. You're bending with the ball a little bit until the a big eruption. I've seen it hit the pole, so it was cool. Just an awesome moment, and huge for everything.
First row on your left, Gary.
Giancarlo, the trajectory machine, just how helpful of a tool is that for you personally, and is that something maybe you spend a little extra time with when you know you're going to face a bunch of pitchers in a bullpen game?
It's great to see at least shapes on it. You know, even if you don't take a bunch of swings, but just to see release point and shapes, and yeah, it's big. And with a bullpen day, yeah, it'll be very useful today.
Peter.
Hey, Giancarlo. Last night, when Judge came up in that situation beforehand, you spoke to him about what to expect from Varland. Just what was that conversation kind of like before he went up there?
Yeah, similar to kind of what Meredith asked. It's like, how do you prepare? It's those type of things. You know, any tidbit that someone that's faced them a day ago, 2 days ago, a month ago, you know, that info is useful, and yeah, you gotta know how to deliver it in a quick little bit. You got you know, the clock winding down, so yeah, however you give them the best information.
And maybe just more broadly, just you and Judge have played together 8 years now. Just how valuable is the relationship you two have? You know, similar profile as player. Just you guys have been able to trade notes all these years.
Yeah, it's been awesome. You know, we know each other's game inside and out. You know, like I was just saying, how you deliver a scouting report. You know, you got to know each person, how they like to receive information, how what works for them, what doesn't. So, you know, we understand all that, and we're able to, you know, be professional, joke when we need, do all the things to help boost our play, and it's just been awesome to see the evolution over the years.
Brian in the same row here.
Carlo, you've been out there taking a lot of early BP. You did that last postseason too. What's your main focus when you're out there? How are things feeling right now?
Just get my balance and timing, and you know, make sure if there's any improvement to make, any little click, any swing to completely lock me in for the night ahead, and yeah, just get ahead of it.
How are things feeling right now?
We're ready to go. We got a backs against the wall game again, and we'll go get them in a few hours here.
We'll stay there with Chris and then Joel.
What's impressed you the most with Cam since he was called up in the middle of the summer?
For me, his demeanor. I mean, from start one, just how comfortable he looked, and unfazed, really. And he seemed built for moments, playoff moments and big moments. So, yeah, we'll be it'll be fun to watch again tonight.
Was that something that you saw in that Seattle start when he made his debut? That he was built for the playoff moments?
You don't see it right away like that. You see, you got to have some adversity. You got to, you know, be out there when you're not feeling your best. When you don't have all of his pitches, how does he navigate? How does he figure it out? And those are the type of things that you see and watch him prep and navigate through to be ready for a time like this.
Against the wall on your right, near Meredith, Joel.
Giancarlo, you've generally hit the ball very hard this postseason without the rewards that usually go with hitting it that hard. Even for an accomplished hitter, does it get frustrating when you don't get results when you are probably doing everything right?
Oh yeah, I mean more in the postseason than during the seasons, that because each game is your season pretty much potentially on the line. So it's frustrating, but you got to understand what adjustments to make, what not to make, and just keep at it. It can't be that way forever, and yeah, got another opportunity tonight. I'd say I've done a decent job of hitting it hard. It's just I need it in the air to be more effective. Obviously, they find holes sometimes. I haven't, but yeah, just any way to be effective, and it needs to be, putting the ball in play hard with runners in scoring position is also very important. So you got to put all those together, and again, another opportunity tonight.
Right up front on your right, Ron.
You spoke about giving Aaron concise information with the clock ticking down. How do you do that? You say, first pitch likely this, ahead in the count that, behind in the count this?
Well, we always like to talk about what's he going to do on first pitch and why this and this and that. So, we give a first pitch idea. We give, maybe first 3 pitches and then adjust from there. It kind of depends. It depends. Is it in division, out division? Have we seen them before? Have we not? It's so much that goes into it that maybe you saw something a year and a half ago in a big spot that he did now. It's so much.
What did you say in the instance last night?
Hit a 3-run homer.
And then another. With Devin, when he went through struggles, as someone who's been here for a while and seen players go through similar and fans get on them, what reassuring things did you say to him?
That's one to keep pushing, and it's cool to see him get some appreciation, and for how hard he's worked all year. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want, result based, but it's not from lack of work. So. It's cool to see that, and especially in the biggest time of the year. And you gotta love that. Anything to add confidence to a very important piece to our bullpen is big.
We'll take a last question from Shy, far back in the right center aisle.
Right in the back, Giancarlo. Beyond the obvious, when Guerrero is having the type of series that he's having for the Blue Jays, when Judge is providing the counterpunch, what does that do for you guys as a group?
We got to neutralize him first of all, it's awesome to see juggernauts go back and forth. We got to be on the better end of that, it's two of the best in the game, and in the biggest moment, and that's what baseball's about. That's what the highest competition is about. So it's cool.
All right, thank you so much, Big G. Appreciate it. Aaron Boone will be down in a couple minutes.
Why is it
Everybody. Got every pitch in the series.
I would probably be there in time for First on my depth chart, it's like that's all I can get out of it. It's like the size of the same thoughts. You ever got to go to Tampa?
All right, we'll get started with Aaron. Who has the first question? We'll start with Phil in the second row on your left.
Coach, yesterday was almost the tale of two mini games. In the first two games of the series, when the Yankees fell behind, it looked like the team was pressing a little bit to try to get out of that hole. Yesterday, it looked like typical great Yankee patience at the plate. Was that a conscious effort for the Yankees to be a bit more patient and wait for their pitch, or was that just?
I mean, we're that's who we are. We're a team that typically works the count and is not going to chase a lot and going to make you earn it. That doesn't mean we don't have days where we go out there and we're attacking early because we think that's the way to go. So, but in their DNA, they do a really good job of making it difficult. And I thought, obviously the bats last night were really good.
Other questions for Aaron? We'll go to Max on your left.
Aaron, Judge and Stanton both talked about a moment last night before the 3-run homer where Giancarlo was sharing his insight on Varland. But I know that happens with a lot of players in the dugout. Just how much of a strength is that for this team? And are they the best at it with all of the clubs that you've managed so far?
Yeah, it's really, they communicate really well with one another. I felt like they did that last year too, though, frankly. But there's no question that they, almost overshare with each other. Lefties with lefties, righties with righties, typically, just to see, if things line up with, what we talked about, as far as what kind of pitches they have, what they're doing. So they get real specific with one another, and I think it's a neat part of the culture that they've really fostered there.
Other questions? We'll go to Dave.
Aaron, the rotation had been such a strength for you guys during the regular season and certainly towards the last month or so. How surprising is it to see the kind of performance that these guys have done through the first 3 games, and even to have another game to continue to play despite having an ERA of almost 17, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, our rotation has been, huge for us this year, and especially as we really started to play well in the final 6-8 weeks of the season. It started a lot with our starting pitching, being able to give us just, whether it was a high-end, max 6 or 7 inning or whether it was a 5 inning, just, our starting pitching was giving us a real chance to win ball games every day. So, that's the nature of the postseason sometimes. It's not going to be perfect. The other guys are really good. The other teams are really good, and the Blue Jays have done a good job against our starters here these first 3 games of the series. So hopefully we can turn that around with a good one tonight and push this thing to back to Toronto.
Standing on your right, a little beyond the first row, Ian.
Stanton obviously arrived here as a quote-unquote franchise player, and now Judge is that figure for your team. What does it say about Giancarlo that he still has that kind of relationship with Aaron?
Yeah. G's such a stud person. He's different than a lot of guys, but he is really accountable, really thoughtful, all about winning, and I have so much respect for the person and the way he goes about things and the thoughtfulness with which he goes about things. And him and Aaron have obviously formed a tight bond over the years. They communicate really well with one another. I think they help lead this team in their own kind of way. That's different. But I think, even though they're big and they're both stars and power hitters and stuff, they are very different too in how they go about it and how they do it and their swings and their approaches a little bit. But that being said, they can certainly relate to one another, and they share really well information with each other.
Far back in the right center aisle, Shy.
Hey, Aaron, within the dynamics of a 5-game series, when Guerrero's as hot as he is, when you have Aaron Judge who can counter that, how does that impact your team?
I mean, you're going to come across great players in the postseason. That's the reality of it. So you got to be able to navigate it, and obviously Vlad, who's hurt us over the years in the regular season, is off to a great start these first few games. We did get him out 2 times in a row, which was nice to end that game. But look, he's one of the great hitters in the game, and someone that we got to make sure we execute at the highest level to if we're going to have success against them. So, but that's the nature of the beast in the postseason. You're going to go up against great players. You're going to go up against hot players that are locked in and kind of feeling it, and you got to be able to navigate it to keep moving.
And how do you look? What's your outlook on using relievers multiple times within a postseason series, knowing that the more times the other team sees them, the more information they have in a short, concentrated span?
Yeah, I mean, that's a factor on some level. On how much, I don't know for sure. But the reality is you're going to have to get big outs with key guys down there if you're going to move on, if you're going to win games. And so those are some uncomfortable situations sometimes, but battles you got to win if you're going to move on.
Second row on your right, Aaron. Nate.
Aaron, when Cam faced Toronto here in September afterward, he had a little rocky outing, and we asked you what you saw out of him afterwards, and you said same guy, couldn't tell any difference. How about after last week against the Red Sox, a performance like that? Do you notice any change in Cam? What are you expecting out of him tonight?
No, regardless of what happens tonight, result-wise, he's going to walk out there with a lot of confidence, expecting to be successful. I know that, and I'm quite certain he probably slept really well last night, and can't wait to go compete. And so from my standpoint, there's some comfort in that, and knowing that if he goes out and has his stuff and executes, he's got a chance to have a really good night.
John?
Last week we were talking about Cam having the type of postseason outing that Yankees fans remember forever. Obviously, Aaron's home run last night. You have your home run. As you're going through these moments and things that kind of all last forever in a sense, I mean, as much pressure and as much intensity as there is, do you notice in that moment that you're seeing something super special as it's happening?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, you are so kind of locked into everything that's going on, but you're not completely unaware of meaningful things happening in big situations for important people. So I think on some level, I don't know if you appreciate it necessarily while you're going through it and while you're in it, but you have an awareness of it.
One or two last ones, if there are any. All right, Aaron, thanks so much. Appreciate it. John Schneider should be down in about 15 minutes.
They going to the next?
Yes. Yeah, I was in LA with a party for a couple days, and then Toronto. Maybe a little more. We'll see what happens. Okay. How about you? Yeah, good.
I got back from the
Yeah.
flip things, I think, at a certain point in the game, and who may go in, defensively, whatever it may be. And those guys are aware of that. So I think just trying to keep everyone where they have been, and knowing that we can kind of change it up if needed.
You guys had a couple of uncharacteristic miscues defensively. I'm curious what your thoughts are on whether those miscues can be contagious throughout a ball game, much like many managers believe hitting is contagious.
I don't think so. I don't think that's kind of not. That's not how we've played all year. Pretty uncharacteristic defensive game for us. So I don't think so. I don't think it gets contagious. Again, especially with this group, I think they kind of just move on and do what they're good at.
We'll go across the aisle to Ed on the left.
Hi, John.
Hey.
How'd you sleep last night?
Quickly, got home late. Slept okay. It's just haven't been doing much sleeping lately, so it was kind of par for the course. But nice to get woken up by my kids jumping on me this morning. So pretty much par for the course.
Go to the third row on your right. Danny?
Hey, John. Just curious what your communication style is to your pitching staff on a day like today.
Be flexible, be ready. Again, we've done this. A lot of teams have done this, and there's no set script, I think everyone kind of understands where they fit within their lineup. And things can change in a hurry, So I think, Pete and Graham do a really good job of, communicating that with them. And I think that they've done it enough to where they're going to be prepared. You never know how the game's going to start. So you can have all the best, laid out plans, and it changes. So I think that they have to be flexible and just be ready to go when the phone rings.
Go to the row behind, Jeff.
John, the guys that you have available for Game 5, Trey Savage and Kevin Gossman, what's their availability tonight, and what would the extent to which you can use them be?
I think probably Trey more than Kev tonight. Kev's going to throw lightly off the mound here this afternoon. Trey won't, but I think that you got to kind of see how the game goes and see what the score is, see where they are in their lineup, who you have available in addition to Trey or Kev or really anyone. So we'll see how the game goes, and I think that, again, one of those guys may factor in.
And one row behind Jeff, Jay.
Yeah. Hi, John. Ernie Clement has 7 hits over the past 2 games. What can you tell me about what he's done in particular to become such a tough out against lefties after struggling against them last year? And what has he meant to your team on both sides of the ball this season?
Yeah, good question. Ernie, I think, he has elite bat-to-ball skills. And I've seen him cover a foot above the zone and a foot below the zone, So with that comes a little bit of, volatility with the results. But Ernie is not scared of any situation. I think his play kind of shows that, the way he plays the game, whether it's on the bases, on defense, or at the plate. And I think he's pretty confident right now. When you get into the postseason and, stakes are a little bit higher, guys like that tend to kind of rise to the occasion, just guys that just play the game the right way. So lefties, I think that he's made adjustments with his approach, and I think he understands a lot more today than he did, last year or even a month ago, kind of how teams are approaching him. I think everyone knows he's a pretty aggressive swinger. So I think kind of taking that into his approach as well and hunting certain spots. But he's meant a lot to the team. You put him anywhere, I remember him saying, like, you can put me behind the plate, I'll catch. I think he was actually our emergency catcher at one point. So he's really, really fun to have. And his style of play can get a little bit contagious. But he's been really, really valuable to us this year.
Up front on your left, Ron.
In scripting lanes for the bullpen, do you and Pete do that last night, or do you wait till you see their lineup this afternoon and then put all your various scenarios together?
Yeah, you wait for their lineup, and then you kind of go through a lot of different scenarios. We we started talking about it probably about 1 o'clock today, and again, there's no perfect science to it. It's still you try to put guys in the best possible spots. At the end of the day, they got to go out and make pitches. They got to go out and execute. So, score, inning, all that kind of stuff comes into play. You're just trying to find the right spots for it, and something that I know we've gotten better at as a staff. This is it's a pretty common thing to do in today's game. So I think you have to be pretty well versed in trying to execute it. We kind of gotten to the point to where, I know it can be, it's a bullpen day and what are they going to do? And it's, we take it as kind of a challenge, to where you got to tackle this and you try to thread the needle a little bit. But man, these guys, they know how to do it. And I think that they ultimately know they're going to be in spots for the most part that we think they're going to be pretty good, and they just got to go do the thing.
Can you and Pete keep that all in your head, or are there so many possibilities you have to write it down or type it out?
Right now, it's pretty well versed in my head, but no, we have a lot of things that are written down and color coded and coordinated with all sorts of stuff. But again, man, you're not just pushing a button at a certain point and saying, okay, this is time to do this. You're watching what the guys are doing. But it's nice to work with him, with Graham, with Luke and Sam, everyone, DeMarlo, Donnie. Hearing different ideas is always good, and kind of just, it sucks for me sometimes where you got to, hey, you're making the decision. But I think we as a group feel pretty good about what we're doing.
We'll stay up here with Greg.
John, with Bo making progress, how do you map out these next few days for him?
We'll see, man. I mean, the last 3 days have been pretty positive for him. He hit in our little sim game back in Toronto yesterday against Max and Chris, running today for the first time, and we'll take it a day at a time, and just listen to how he's feeling. So in talking to him when he got here yesterday, I think he's probably turned the corner a little bit in terms of making some steady progress. It wasn't just kind of hitting in the cage. It was facing some live pitching and knowing that he was going to be running today for the first time. So I think he's making some strides, and we'll continue to take it a day at a time.
Shy, seated near the back, right center.
Hey, John. When relievers are facing a team multiple times in a short series, how does that impact the matchups, preparing for the matchups, and the way perhaps they attack the opposition? Yeah, it's a chess game. I think that's what makes these series interesting and fun, and you can't take anything for granted. Biggest thing is you can't kind of fall into patterns. This game is a lot about tendencies and trying to hunt a certain pitch or a certain area. At the end of the day, I think you have to go. There's so much information. You got to just go execute, and you have to know what you've done before. You can't really be a broken record. There's a perfect way to do it where different guys are facing different parts of the lineup every day, but you get into series like this, and it just doesn't happen all the time. So there's some savvy, there's some gamesmanship that goes into it, and I think that's something we've been talking about the last couple of days, especially with the guys coming out of the pen. Similarly, how do you see the dynamic between both Guerrero and Judge having really strong series playing out over for both teams within the series?
It's good for baseball. I said it last night. They're performing on a big stage. I think it's cool for the sport to see that, to see some big name guys doing that. But I think it's more importantly, I think you can't get caught up in that too much. I think we've talked about 9-on-1. We've talked about 13 guys contributing every single day. So I think the minute that you feel like you have to do it all yourself is when things start to go the wrong way. But yeah, it's been kind of as advertised with those two guys. What they've done against, what Vlad's done against them and what Aaron's done against us. So I think it's a guy you're aware of for sure on both sides.
Third row, your left, Ben.
Hey, John. So we're learning pretty much now that Trey is available out of the bullpen. When did those conversations happen between you guys and Trey to let him know that this might be something that you would ask of him?
A while ago. I mean, I think that's why we did this in the minor leagues with him, and it's, I said part of the draw of game 2 was using his flexibility if we need it. So, again, it's not like a foregone conclusion we're going to use him. We got to kind of see what plays out. But I think that in the probably weeks leading up to him even being called up, that was something we started to look at in AAA and handled it well. And, we'll see where today leads.
Fourth row, right center, Mike.
John, you guys wouldn't be where you are if you weren't good at turning the page on a loss and bouncing back the next day. But you guys hadn't blown a lead that big all year, and it was a closeout game, chance to put away this team in this place and stuff. Is there any different feeling putting that after last night's game and coming here today, putting that behind you and moving on?
Honestly, no. I think that these guys have been through enough, and we've all been through enough where, this team's not going away. That they're not rolling over by any means. So baseball happens. I always say baseball happens. There's always a first time for everything, and it gets magnified in the postseason. But that wasn't the feel coming into the clubhouse after the game last night. It's definitely not the feel in the clubhouse today. So it's every loss sucks. Every loss is the same, whether it's by 1 run or whether it's by 20. Every loss sucks. But I don't really feel much different than how it's been all year, where you got to come, formulate a game plan against a good pitcher, formulate a pitching plan for your own staff, and go out and compete your ass off.
Finish up 6 rows back on your far left.
Hi, John. Something very hard-hitting. Got to ask you about the white panel hats. You were on something of a hot streak with the white panel hats. Last night didn't go your way. I know you said you only packed that one for this trip, but what's the thinking around the hat and the rest of the postseason?
To be honest with you, I don't even know if we're wearing this today. I did bring my other hats. I kind of just said that in real time. But, yeah, I don't know what we're wearing. This was the one that was sitting in my locker, so I assumed we were wearing it. We've been playing well with them, right? So if we're rocking them, that's great.
All right, we'll be on the edge of our seats for the
Yeah.
decision.
Check us out at the Anthem, see what we're wearing.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, John.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it. And that concludes the pregame today. JZ. What's up, buddy?